Good. So, Matthew, we're talking about life. Basically, we're talking about coffee and
Yeah.
mate. But tell me a little bit about you, like your background, your experience. I was able to read a little bit of your bio. I saw your playing experience, that you start coaching and all this stuff. But like, I would love to know who specifically is Matthew as a person and everything, your background and all of that.
All right. My name's Matthew Escareño for everyone to know. I was born in Santa Barbara, California. I grew up in Oxnard, California. So my whole life I've been playing soccer since the age of 6. Around the age of 10, 12, that's when I got into goalkeeping. I loved it and started like really like diving into it. I played college soccer, I played semi-pro, professional in different leagues. You know, once I 2023, that's when I got really into coaching. I got opportunity to start coaching locally at a small club. And then my last year of playing in the NISA League, I got opportunity to coach high school for the first time, my actual like first like coaching job. And I just fell in love with it. Being like a mentor, being a coach, seeing the whole full cycle of me being a player and then me, you know, being that like coach of the kid that I was once was. And then you know um I started a goalkeeper academy called GKU 805, and the reason why it's called GKU 805 is because where I'm from, Oxnard, we use the zip code is 805, and a lot of people say like, oh, I'm from the 805, which is like Ventura County. It goes from like Thousand Oaks to all the way to San Luis Obispo, which is like central California, a little bit north of Los Angeles. And so that's how I started, and it's been great. I'm grateful for the place position I'm in. I've been,
Yes.
meeting great people around like the soccer world. Once I got in coaching, it's a big world in coaching. It's like a little niche, especially the goalkeeping world. But there every there's goalkeeper coaches everywhere. You just gotta look for them, find them, and it's been a really good blessing. And right now, I'm just currently coaching at Westmont College, which is a small private Christian school that plays Division 2 out in Santa Barbara, California. And today we actually have like 2 games, and I'm doing this right
Oh,
before I had to leave.
oh,
But
really?
yeah, yeah, and
Okay, I'm
it's
gonna be really mindful of all the time then.
yeah, no,
If you
no,
need
no,
to cut it
like
at the time, get up,
like
please. I need to leave now. That's fine.
no, no, I think we'd be good. Like no rush.
Awesome,
And
awesome. I think
and
Matthew, you mentioned a lot of things that are crucial. Really, really nice things to hear. Like the first of all, the part about like the coaches and stuff like that. I have the same belief as you. I really enjoy meeting people that were goalkeepers that are passionate about the position because I think the niche is really small. I think we're special. We're different at some point. Like I remember going to this camp that it was a goalkeeper camp, and we got Airbnb, and everybody was goalkeeper there. So like you can imagine the conversations that we had, the fun that we had.
mm,
It was incredible. So this is awesome. The other thing that you mentioned that I really really like, and I also wanted you to ask you about this later, but you mentioned how you get so much purpose, so much fulfill of being able
yeah,
to coach, like something that you have enjoyed a lot of these years, and then you went to coach and you're able to give these opportunities to kids that they didn't have it, or probably they haven't had it at the standards that you wish they had it. And that's kind of same motivation that I had here. I had the opportunity to come to America, play here. And after I started coaching, I was like, you know what? I really, really wish I could affect somebody in a way they can experience the same that I experienced. but
Mhm.
in a better level. Like I don't know you, Matthew. Like growing up, do you have a goalkeeper coach, or how does that look like?
So, when I was growing up, probably the first couple of years, I had no goalkeeper coaches. I probably just had my dad like throwing me the ball, like very
Mhm.
basic stuff. And then where I grew up, I got like the Hispanic Mexican culture where dive here, up, dive there. That was my coaching until probably even in college. It wasn't really like very technical, very
Mhm.
the modern game.
Yeah.
Once I right after college, I played for a team called Albion San Diego. I met this great goalkeeper coach, Miguel Gutierrez. He's at New York Red Bulls now, but that's when he actually like introduced me into more, the modern game, the tactical side, why you do things. That was my first like introduction to it. And and I was around 21 at the time. And that's another reason why I love like coaching, and I started this goalkeeper academy because imagine if I had all that knowledge when I was 10, 15, like a young kid.
Yeah.
I'd be like way ahead of where I was at that point. But yeah, growing up, I had like a couple of coaches I would go, but it was very, dive here, dive there,
Hmm.
like conditioning, like I would consider old school, like goalkeeping, just being able to dive. But then, yeah, when I was older, that's when I knew like positioning and technique and different types of techniques,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your game improved definitely for
Mm-hmm.
sure a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk, of course, like the way that you kind of develop goalkeepers and the things that you believe are important to developing a goalkeeper. But before going to that, you mentioned Guti or Gutierrez. What was the first name of Gutierrez?
Miguel.
That Miguel Gutierrez has a big impact on your career.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, like, if you were gonna think about a coach that again had a big impact of it, like, why he had such a great impact, like value wise, the group wise, like all the things, like what characteristics do you think create that coach to be that great or that
Mm-hmm.
impactful in your career?
I I had a couple of coaches. One coach that sticks out to me was Daniel Gonzalez. He's a older goalkeeper coach, and he was my goalkeeper coach for my last year in this team called Irvine Zeta about 2 years ago. He wasn't really like loud or angry aggressive, but he was very like loving off,
Hmm.
like he would train, he would always like support you, he would always like check in on you, like from the number one keeper to the number three or four. So he was like a goalkeeper coach that I took a lot of inspiration from, like, okay, like you can be like loving and be a great person in doing this, and I felt really comfortable like in trainings and games because he always like joke around with me. He always like like support me no matter if I'm playing or not. And then he was like a goalkeeper coach that I really like took a lot of qualities from.
Hmm.
Like not like I'm not even talking about his training sessions. I'm just talking about how he approached his role as a coach and as a mentor, you know?
As a player, and I made this question, kind of a similar question to somebody else, but I want to hear your thoughts. And of course, you're kind of starting with the coaching, so probably you haven't really faced a challenge like this, or you might have, I'm not 100% sure. But as a player, like, will you feel like having a coach that is like really empathetic, like really caring and stuff like that can sometimes seem like, oh, he's not pushing that hard, or he's not having like this hard conversation, and or these players are stepping over this coach just because of the sense of like he's not gonna gel or he's not gonna react in a different way. Like, how do you earn that respect for them to actually respect?
I
Like,
think
how?
it's a balance. It's a
Mhm.
balance. You gotta know when to be straight up with them and tell them how it is, and then find the moments where like just to let them know, like, hey, you're good. Like I know it sucks right now, but keep going. I always feel like goalkeeping and coaching, it's a lot of psychology. It's a lot of like mental. So you gotta know your players. You gotta find, yeah, like you said, trust. Trust is super key in player and coach relationship. But I struggle with trying to find the balance, but you cannot be too nice with them because they would never like push themselves. But you can't be too strict on them because then they're just going to feel like, oh, this he's going to say something bad to me, like I'm not doing well. I always feel like you gotta find that balance, and every goalkeeper is different. You know, some goalkeepers I see it, they're very hard on themselves. And sometimes I have to like encourage them, like you're doing good. Don't beat yourself up. And then I have other goalkeepers where they're too relaxed and they're not pushing themselves how they should be. And that's when I have to be really, aggressive and tell them like that's not the standard. You have to put a higher standard for yourself. Like, so,
Yeah, I agree. And again, like, you mentioned something really good, like the trust, the managing, being able to connect with those players. I think that's one of the most essential roles that the coach will have. With that, kind of following up with what you said about the standards, I remember a conversation I had with a player, and of course, the feedback wasn't. It was a harsh feedback at some point, and part of it like is being transparent with her, being honest, and just the fact of being like, I'm telling you this feedback just because of the fact that I have high standards and I believe you can
mhm.
achieve this stuff. Because like there is always that saying like, oh, if the coach is not telling you stuff, it's because they have given up on you. And that's true. I
uh,
mean, at some point, if you believe that somebody's not gonna listen, if you believe somebody's not gonna push and stuff like that, you won't care about like really practicing. But if somebody's like in you, pushing you and stuff like that, there at some point it shows like, okay, I'm trying to make you better, so let's do this together, because not you against me, is us of both working together.
yeah, yeah. It's a good thing that I got from a coaching symposium
Hmm.
was even with little kids, with parents. This goes a lot with like little kids, but even like from team settings and college settings, you always want to be on the same page as your athlete, as your player, goalkeeping in this sense. Like you always gotta ask them questions like, okay, how can I get you better? That should be the question you should always ask your goalkeeper. And maybe the coach and player in their head they think something different, and in that case, that's when that conversation has to happen. Like, okay, I feel like you need to improve on your footwork, and the other keeper thinks, oh, I just need to get faster, like something like that, like for example. So that's when that builds trust, like you care. And yeah, that's a conversation I always have with almost everybody, even with
Hmm.
parents. I'm like, how what does your kid need to get better? So I know, and I give you my feedback, so we're on the same page. And
Yeah.
finding that goal of helping your son or daughter.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, Matthew, like I can probably be really naive. Probably coaches listening to this might say like, what the heck, what he's talking about. But I feel like I struggle sometimes. For example, about talking bad about a player. And of course, like there will be conversation, and in this world, like people talk bad about stuff. But in a sense, if it is a player that I'm coaching and stuff like that, like of course I can give feedback, criticisms, and stuff like that. But I I struggle a lot saying like, no, that person cannot improve, because in the sense of like me saying like I'm giving up on themselves shows that I'm not capable of doing as a coach. Again, it might be a really naive thought about myself of being like I'm not able to manage you or whatever, but that's the way that I see it. So whenever like a goalkeeper sucks, I'm like, okay, it's my fault because I'm not able to deal with it. And same in
Mm.
the game. Like for example, if there is a mistake on a cross or stuff like that, of course the goalkeeper is the one that doing the action. But I reflect about like, okay, how many times did we work on crosses, or how many times did I did
Yeah.
it? Like, part of it is also having that ownership, and I feel like sometimes coaches lean on that side of like, oh, that person is just bad, whatever, like you cannot do anything and stuff like that. Again,
Yeah.
might be a really naive thought, it might be what the heck am I talking about, but that's the way I see it currently.
Yeah. When like goalkeepers make mistakes, that reflect like if my goalkeeper makes a mistakes, that reflects on me, because I'm helping him or her and being ready for a game. And if you know like it kind of goes both ways. If that goalkeeper makes an amazing save, it kind of reflects back on me. Like, okay, I'm doing a good job. That a little bit of a praise, but it reflects on the coaches as well. Like, if the team does bad, it's not just the players. The coaches have like effect to it. You know, so it's a little bit of like responsibility from everybody.
Yeah, 100%. Perfect words what you mentioned. It's a lot of responsibility for everybody. So if I'm putting the work, the players should be putting in the work as well, or at
Hmm.
least that's what is expected as well. So you mentioned something at the beginning that I also want to touch, and then we can go specific to your way of coaching, your way of developing goalkeepers. You said, and probably this has to do or open the question. At the beginning, you mentioned about like that Mexican Hispanic culture in goalkeeping. And
Hmm.
as we know, there are like different ways of goalkeeping. Like, for example, Spanish school will be different than the German school, Colombia, or well, South American, Brazilian, and stuff like that. So, how do you compare all these like schools, cultures, people saying like, oh, you should be using ropes, or you should be doing flips, or no, that's not time for that. We're gonna do 5,000 volleys, or we're just gonna work on this. How do you? What are your thoughts on that aspect of like everybody has different thoughts?
I feel like there's a benefit for everything, like Hispanic culture, a lot, agile, very acrobatic, and then you have the Germany where it's very, like heavy stance, shot stopping, and the Spaniard culture, it's I I feel like there's benefits for from everything. And kind of like how we talked about the modern game, it's always evolving, it's always changing, so people have to adapt. What you did 30 years ago isn't going to be the same right now. A lot of things has changed, like playing out the back, like goalkeeper drills, goalkeeper sessions now, like most sessions I see involves playing out the back, playing out the feet all the time now. Being able to handle close spaces in on the build up. Build up, like at my college, and I saw it in different teams that I played for. You work on build up almost every training session, or not every training session, but like the last 2 days before playing the game, you're working build up all the time. You're not working like shot stopping or too much like stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like nowadays the modern game, modern goalkeeping requires a lot of build up, requires a lot of high expectations on everything. You know, coming out for crosses, making shots, stopping saves, being able to communicate. You know, not just be quiet in your 18-yard box, but actually organizing your team, not just defensively but offensively too, like helping find the solutions and in the build up, trying, progress that ball to the other side of the field and try to score. But yeah, so to sum it everything up, I feel like you can get benefits from everything, and it just honestly depends on your philosophy, your coaching philosophy. Like for me, I kind of take bits from every single coach, every single, course and people, and I just try to make the best way to teach the game to my goalkeepers, pretty
Yeah,
much.
I think that's
What's
great.
your view on that?
Same. It's really similar to yours in a sense of like, and I don't know if you have noticed. I don't know if you have ever had the chance of seeing like Real Madrid practicing with Courtois and all of that. Have you or never?
No, no.
Well, if you go ahead and on YouTube, whatever, and you put like Real Madrid goalkeeper training or whatever, you will notice that all of their drills or activities more about like body control and reaction and moving and being like again agile and stuff like that.
Mm,
Where people will come now with the beautiful picture of like, oh, everything needs to be game realistic, everything needs to be game realistic. I feel like at some point like people are obsessed with that. But you're thinking like, okay, Courtois is one probably for me, Courtois is the best goalkeeper in the world.
mm,
And this guy is training like this. So why is not everybody training like this? Again, I think, and like you were saying, at some point there is value on the stuff like that, 100%. And of course, there is value on the game realistic models or the scenarios where the goalkeeper will
mm,
able to react. On my thought process of why, or on my thought process, again, back to me. I think, first of all, you need to have like your philosophy in a sense that I'm rooted to what I think. Of course, I'm open minded to listen, to hear, and kind of refine if I need to do it. But I cannot be a coach that every week is switching my methodology because I heard something new. So I cannot be somebody that, like, oh, I just spoke with person in Iowa and he only do volleys and I'm just gonna stick with volleys now. And then, oh, I hear with this person and now I'm gonna switch my thing. I think I need to have my route and have my own plan of what I believe is gonna develop that goalkeeper. And with that, I need to have like all these measure moments, being able to compare if things are working out. And if things are not working out, okay, it's probably time to move on. But
mm.
with that being said, of course, I have a big bias on the Hispanic culture. So I do believe the goalkeeper needs to be really agile, really coordinated. A lot of the other thing that I will say is like we have 30 minutes with the goalkeepers, 40 minutes probably.
Sometimes even less.
Yeah,
Sometimes I
sometimes.
I have like 15, 20 minutes, and I'm
Yeah,
like, all
100%.
right, I gotta make this the best 15, 20 minutes that I can possibly do.
Yeah. So with that, like I think there's room for you to do activities that doesn't really define that unrealistic, I mean that realistic scenario of like not knowing where the shot is gonna go and stuff like that. Because at the end you want to have them on the right set mentality. And then they're gonna go to the actual team practice where they're going to be facing 5v5 7v5s. Like
Hmm.
as a goalkeeper coach, you don't stop coaching whenever the goalkeepers go to the team.
Hmm.
That's the best moment where you can also coach as well, because that
Yeah.
is in the game and that's in the scenario of like, oh, you should be moving here, or like how are we talking, how are we communicating, how are you giving feedback to your goalkeepers whenever they are in those positions. So again, with that, I hope I kind of answered my question. But I think as long as you have a plan, or that's my thought. As long as you have a plan and you're able to develop through that and be mindful about coaching after as well, you can get away with doing tennis balls, or you can get away with, I don't know, with doing the yoga ball, or you can get away with just doing volleys, because the goalkeeper
Hmm.
needs to develop and needs to be stuck to what you're looking for metrics, how it's successful, if the goalkeeper is improving, what the goalkeeper wants as well. Because I'm not sure, and we can talk about this as well. Sometimes you'll find a goalkeeper that wants to just do volleys And
Mhm.
as a coach, are you gonna be like, no, we're not doing that, or how do you manage that, Matthew? I would like to hear your thoughts if you have ever
Well,
faced something like this.
mm, my goalkeepers at my college, they're pretty open to everything. You know, they're not really too restrictive or tell me like, oh, I don't want to do this. You know, they're pretty open to everything.
That's great.
No, I don't think I ever had a situation like that yet.
Hmm.
Maybe like I've dealt with attitudes, especially the younger goalkeepers, where maybe they just don't want to be there, or something's bad happen, or we're doing a drill and it's not going well, or they're not putting the effort into it. And I just have to say, you have to commit, you have to, go 100%. Or here, it just came to my mind. Like, like if a goalkeeper says like, I don't want to dive too much, and if it's because of an injury, reason, I get that. And I'm like, okay, let's limit the dives to your right side because you have a shoulder problem. But if it's a goalkeeper and like I just don't want to dive because he's too lazy, then that's a like a conversation I have to talk to him and like, hey, like how are you supposed to get better? How are you supposed to be ready for the game day? And
Yeah.
this is for like a younger goalkeeper that I dealt with in the past. And I'm pretty sure there's been other situations I dealt with in before, but it's not coming to my brain right now. But yeah,
And back to the topic that we were having on the first, like whenever I think about a coach that really had a big impact on me, I think first of
mhm,
all, again, like the part that it was somebody that trusted on me, like saw my potential. It was always pushing, it was always making that motivation. But second of all was that it will push me to my limits because he kind of trusts me on those things. So it wasn't like, oh, you're feeling lazy today, all right, relax. I was like,
yeah,
oh, you're feeling lazy, we're doing double, man. So you better prepare or stuff like that. I remember really well once, mate. This field, I'm from Colombia, right? So these fields are not
mhm,
the great. And I show up, like I'm already showing up with three shorts, a pant, like stuff like that because it hurts. It hurts to dive, and our practice was a lot of shutter stopping. And we
mhm.
kind of made a comment about the field, and he went and found the worst place in
The
the field.
worst
I was like,
place
all
to
right, we're
dive on.
practicing. Yeah, that's. I don't know how legal is that nowadays, but like,
No, I think you could still get away.
yeah, at some point. And that's kind of my struggle that I find sometimes with the new mentality of I don't know if you have heard it about the player oriented environment besides the coach oriented
No,
environment.
explain more.
Sort of the idea of the player oriented environment is basically the player takes most of the decisions, like 90% of the decision, in a sense, like, oh, I want to work on crosses to, I mean, I'm making it specifically to goalkeeping, but like, oh, I want to work in crosses today. Okay, how do you want to work on this? Or you basically are just there 100% to assist. I'm like, okay, what activities should we be doing? What do you look on this? How can I help? What do you think? Do you think this is enough? Should we stop? So the player is the one that is kind of guiding the
Mhm.
process of it. So it's more about that, and also like the holistic whole player environment of like coaching, so the mentality, the
Yeah.
psychology part, and all of that. But I think listening to this, I'm actually like in a course with this as well. Is that thought about like, okay, at what point is like, okay, you're in pain, or at what point is like, okay, you don't want to push it. So I
Mhm.
thought I thought that what you mentioned was really really important.
Yeah, I think over time you can tell when they're in pain or when they hit their limit the more you work with them. And then like there's been a situation where I had a goalkeeper and I can tell when he's trying and when he's not trying. And when
Hmm.
he's not trying, I'm like, you gotta do it again. You gotta do a couple more because I don't see the effort, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that just comes with time and understanding your goalkeeper. Like is he or she pushing to her limit? Or is she putting all 100% effort? And there's going to be days where, I had days where my goalkeeper was sick and he's, pushing himself to his limit. And I I try to be mindful for that because, sickness and injuries, you just don't want to make it worse. But kind of like what we're talking about, um, if that goalkeeper is lazy, you have to be really on them, really strict, and just like straight up tell them like th- that's not the standard. Like, how are you supposed to get better if you don't push yourself?
Yeah, and I think going back to again the main principle of a coach, like creating that trust and that moment where the athlete is able to come and tell you like, okay, I'm probably not feeling greater or whatever. And I think at the end of the end, like of the picture, if like this is a constant thing, then you probably need to to move on in at some point. Like of care, like you cannot waste that much energy on trying to always push somebody that is not gonna push themselves.
Yeah.
No. But well, and then going back to like kind of your environment. So if you can describe a little bit about like how do you manage your goalkeeper group in college with your own academy? Like how does like for example a Matthew week look like on practices? How does a training session look like? Like what do you think is your two goals to develop a goalkeeper?
Okay. But I'm gonna try to keep it in the college settings. So
Okay.
usually in the college settings, depending on the week, I go like pretty minus. If it's like a -4, -5 day, it's, more shot stopping, more 1v1s, um, more high load, especially when it's you have a couple of days before a game day. And then, I get to training. I try to like talk to the keepers like maybe during the activation or the warm-ups when they're just, getting ready just to see where they're at mentally and just like a little conversation. I try to like have fun. You don't want to be super, 100% strict all the time. I like to, have fun. But once we start going the drills, it's like 100% focused. Like we're not messing around. Like we're trying to keep that high standards. It's like on the first drill to the last drill, and then by -2, -1, we're decreasing the load. We're working more, on the game, on who we're playing against. Maybe the other teams is very dangerous in crosses and certain positions, so we're working on that. We're preparing for the game, you know. And then if after that game, if I see any, weak points that I see from my goalkeepers, that's on the following week. That's what we pretty much work on, like those topics. But yeah. What was the question again?
So, okay, you mentioned kind of like the schedule in some sense, and how does the like practice look like in it specifically? Like you'll
Yeah.
go out there, I don't know, at the same time as the team, like you said, I mean, sometimes you have 10, 15 minutes, but like, let's say you're planning for a 40 minutes or an hour session. Like, what things do you think are important to develop that goalkeeper?
Um well, my training session is a nice little warm up, and I try to keep it like a topic on the day. Like let's say we're working on 1v1s. So my first first drill is more activation. Let them get work on their body shapes, a little bit handling. The second one would probably be, I think you probably know this, something that's announced and unannounced
Mm-hmm.
drills. So like I pretty much would announce, I'm like, okay, we're gonna work on this this 1v1 situation right here, and then maybe a shot from a different angle, and if it's live we're playing off of it, and then towards the end, the third phase would be like an unannounced where um, I could I have different situations where I can play the ball and try and make it as game realistic as possible for the goalkeeper. So I try always make it into a flow, like where every single drill is building up to that game situation where that goalkeeper has to decide on what to do in that moment. Do I come out and sweep and using my hands to try to get the ball? Do I, you know, close the space and get set? Do I go and maybe do a smother or maybe a K block save or a spread save? Like different situation where the goalkeeper has to like make that decision in
Hmm.
that moment.
Um, on the like, it seems like on the second phase where it's like announced deliveries and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Is that the moment for you to be like reinforcing techniques, and how do you go like about techniques? Like, of course, me, let's say, and I still I still wonder what sometimes keeper coaches see. But like, for example, a lot of goalkeepers tend to like, I don't know. I have had goalkeepers that come with me, and I don't know, their hand positioning or stuff like that are really different. I'm not gonna say they're wrong, but they're really different to what I believe it is right. So how do you manage that in the sense of like, hey, this goalkeeper does this, and this goalkeeper comes with this knee when he's cutting across. I think there is a different thing. So it's during that time that you're trying to reinforce that, or how does that work for you?
If the goalkeeper makes a save, he did his job, and it might sometimes it might be like the wrong technique or it doesn't look right, but if the keeper makes a save I kind of like let it be, and I'm
Hmm.
like, all right, you did your job. But if that goalkeeper does the wrong technique, the wrong body shape, and he gets scored on, I will reinforce. I'm like, hey, I think that's more of the spread save moment, or I think that moment you could use your hands and try attack the ball better. So it's because you probably know this, like everyone have different preferences. Like I grew up using the K block save, you know. Nowadays everyone's doing the spread save. I don't really do the spread save at all, but I use the K block as much as I can, and that's what I like to do.
Hey,
And I
Matthew,
did,
before we dwell a little bit more for people that are listening, what is the difference? Because a K and a spread can be really similar in sense, like if you
yeah.
think about a spread, you can see a K save. But what is the main difference between the K and the spread?
Well, the K save is more of like, the letter K, where you put one knee down and then your second knee is up, and you're pretty much like a wall,
Hmm.
but staying on your feet. And then the
Like a
spread
boxer.
save is when you're getting low, your butt's touching the ground, you're spreading your whole body, and you have one leg sticking out, kind of like almost doing the splits.
Like the Diego Martinez save, basically.
Yeah,
Awesome. All
yeah.
right. Perfect. So people that were listening to it, there you go. And
Uh,
then you grew up with the K save, right? And then you were
yeah.
continue going. Sorry, I interrupt.
No, I grew up with the K save, and I tell goalkeepers all the time, like, I'm more of a K save guy, but at moments I sometimes will catch myself doing the spread without thinking about it.
Hmm.
But that's me. And so I think as a coach, you have to find like what works best for your goalkeeper, because everyone's different sizes. You have some people that are like 6'6", and then you have some goalkeepers that are like 5'9", 5'10". So and different body shapes, different styles. But so that's how I go. My approach is pretty much if you make the save, you did your job, even if it doesn't look pretty. But if you do get scored on, or or they do, you do get beat. That's when I have to like reinforce them. Like, try that moment should have been like hands, or should have been more of a spread save. And if you know, if I'm filming, uh, one thing I think coaches should do is film their sessions as much as they can. I just clip it and I send it to the goalkeeper, and I kind of like show like that moment should have been, that spread save, or that moment you should have came out with your hands nice and strong because you're going to get there first, you know. Um,
Yeah, and just to kind of follow up with all of the things, I think you mentioned really important things. For example, like that not all goalkeepers are built different. I mean, sorry, not all goalkeepers are built the same. We are different. So whatever worked for me might not work for this person, and this person, or even like for example, me coaching female. Like sometimes I can think that as a male I can do other things that probably as a female might not be able. I'm not saying because X or Y, but I remember I had this conversation with somebody about the side volley, and the girl was telling me like, "Oh yeah, our hips are not meant to do that." I was like, I'm not 100% sure about that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So still understanding that they are built different at some point, or even with men's. Like I'm 5'10", probably you're 6'2" or whatever. Like things will be different. With that being said, again, I think you mentioned recording and keeping the ball out of the net. Okay. So if you're able to see your videos and understand, like, okay, what I'm doing is right, then stick on that. But if you're seeing your videos and you say, okay, what I'm doing is wrong, then of course you need to find different solutions. And that's
Hmm.
where I come of like, okay, I will trust on whatever you're saying that it will work on you. But if things are not working out, you need to be open minded to listen what I believe is gonna work on you. And having that track of success, track of measuring, of being able to say like, okay, probably when you spread the most is not the most efficient. So what other solutions can we do? And this happened to me with a goalkeeper last year actually. She has always been taught of not making safe with the feet. And of course, I didn't have a lot of time. Like, I believe on safe on the feet. Yes, I believe on them because I think they're quick and stuff like that. But again, like this goalkeeper was way faster of just going really low with the hand and making the save. So why in the world I'm gonna go and try to change the whole thing when she's able to just calm down and explode on that? So besides me trying to force her of being like, okay, let's go to the fit because it's not being successful, I stick to the hand because that's working to her. So let's just stick with that.
Hmm.
We work on this stuff, and basically it's kind of the same mentality with the 1v1s, with the spreads, and with the K safe, and with this mother. I think there is room for the spreads, like you said, Matthew. I was kind of like sometimes I think about it. I'm like, I wonder when I was because growing up, how did I deal with the 1v1s? I think part of it was me as mothering, like going and straight to it. And second part of me was just reacting. All right, like kind of guessing, reacting to a save. Like I used to make a lot of saves with my feet as well, like choosing that side, like the Iker Casillas save against Robin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of
similar
just
to that.
stick out, and I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure that just instincts for him at that
exactly.
moment.
And that's the same with the spread. Like I feel a spread needs to be a technique that is like an instinct in the last moment resource of the game. Especially like there is a statistics, and again back to the track metrics, and a big believer like with my coaches about with my goalkeepers about being mindful of this. When the player is going through a middle channel, most success that a goalkeeper might have on a 1v1 is just spreading yourself. Just because of the sense that you have the same similar angles from right to left because the channel is central. And now you're just spreading yourself and trying to cover as much from each side. However, when the ball is going from the right or the left and it's like in a different angle, now as a goalkeeper, if you position yourself a little bit outside, now you're cutting an angle. So you're not kind of tracking the same size. So on those moments, you should never spread. That's kind of the statistic that it shows. And again, that's something that I have been working with my goalkeepers and something that I feel like it has been working a lot. So
Mm.
do I believe there is space for the spread safe? 100%. It wouldn't like I don't think it will be as common nowadays if it not given success. So what are thoughts you have on that?
Yeah, those are good stats. Um, and it makes sense. Middle channel, you just want to be as big as possible because the forward. I always think like as a goalkeeper, and it's part of my coaching too. You gotta think like, what is the forward thinking when they approach the goal?
Yeah.
Like 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 that middle channel. Like I'm thinking as a forward, I'm like, okay, I have equal opportunity to score on both sides. But if I'm going through the left side, like left channel and angles, then my goal is pretty much like a little bit more smaller because of the angle. And I might have to whip it across to the back post. And that's when, as a goalkeeper, you have to move your feet and make the save, or, be mindful of that near post reaction save.
Yeah.
So,
And I
I
don't know,
always,
Matthew, if this ever happened to you, and this is something that I also believe on this in some point. Whenever somebody was gonna shoot, you were able to read all their body. So you literally knew that that person was gonna shoot to your right or to left. So you were like diving a little bit earlier just because you already knew and you still make the save. Because you, again, like I mentioned, you already knew about it. Like, is that something that has occurred to you when you were playing or?
no, I can tell, you can kind of tell when someone's going to shoot to the back post, but it's not guaranteed all the time. I try not to guess, but to anticipate. If, if you're understanding what I'm saying, like I'm not going to guess to the left side and just completely dive to the left side, but I'm gonna anticipate. I'm gonna see like, okay, his body shape is aiming for my back post.
Hmm.
I'm not going like commit myself, but I have a good idea where he's going.
Yeah.
And that kind of like helps me like read like, okay, most likely he's going to hit this back post, or if he goes down like my right side and all he has is that like small little first post window,
Hmm.
I'm gonna just be like a wall, and like, okay, he doesn't have much of an angle to hit it over my head or around me, so I just have to be big at that moment.
Yeah.
But
I,
I try.
uh You
Yeah, go
tried to?
ahead.
No, you were gonna say you tried to.
Uh, yeah, just trying to anticipate and read the game instead of like completely guessing.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, but and it's funny because like even if you're wrong, sometimes you're like, Jesus, I couldn't move. But I think it's part of the game. It's part of like you kind of really understanding the game.
Hmm.
On the 1v1s, Matthew, and this is I think is a good challenge for all the goalkeeper coaches, trying to recreate 1v1s in practice without the fear of like, oh, I'm gonna injure somebody or somebody's
Hmm.
gonna get hit or stuff like that. How do you navigate these environments of like, let's work on the spreads or let's work on the key save or let's work on the mother, let's work on 1v1s and don't kill anybody.
Uh, for the younger keepers, I tell them like it's part of the game, and you have to be brave, and you are going get maybe hit maybe, but there's ways to prevent it. I always tell like the younger keepers, I'm like, you have to be loud, you have to call that keeper shout early, so everyone around you know you're coming out and being big.
Hmm.
I see goalkeepers always getting hurt when they don't shout out keeper before, and they're shouting keeper right when they get to the ball, and that's
Hmm.
when the collisions happen. You probably seen it before, when, because as a defender, like I'm putting myself as a defender and a forward again. If I'm a defender and forward and there's a 50-50 ball and I'm sprinting to it and I don't hear anything, I'm gonna challenge it. But if I hear a goalkeeper shouting like that's his ball, I'm gonna back away a little bit or be mindful of there's a goalkeeper coming out and I might have to jump over that goalkeeper. So I always have to tell like there's ways to prevent, these collisions. You just have to shout out goalkeeper or keeper like a couple seconds early to avoid that. And especially in trainings, you don't want people to get hurt. So you'd want to be as
We don't want that.
aggressive as you can be without those unnecessary collisions.
Yeah, but also Matthew, I don't know if this happened to you, and of course it did happen to me when I was playing. Like I was able to make the save on game because I knew everything that was on it. Like I was the adrenaline, the speed of the game, the moment is once every 80 minutes that I'm gonna go and spread myself and make this huge save, whatever. But like in practice, how do you try to recreate this environment where there is no pressure, there is no need for you to actually spread. You're not feeling the same momentum of the ball, of like the speed of the play and stuff like that, and you're still going to try and go and spread yourself. Like how do you navigate that, like on the goalkeeper aspect of the training? Like again, I think whenever we go to 5v5 7v7s, you will find a lot of 1v1s, but if you want to teach like that technique in the specific part, like how will you navigate that?
Well, if you have other goalkeepers, you can have them defending and attacking, or making them runs and you're playing into that space for those 1v1s as much as possible. And I think in the past, I sometimes we use field players
Mm-hmm.
for 1v1s, and that will try create a more of a real situation. But it's nothing like a real game, but you just have to try recreate as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Some I mean, for me, again, and this is the reality of it. Like, it's not as easy to recreate
yeah,
that, scenario, and it's not that easy to put the goalkeeper on that mentality of I'm gonna spread myself 8 times in a rep. You know what I mean? Or I'm scared of injuring myself. I'm scared of injuring somebody else while in the game. We don't care about that in some point. So for me, part of it is just going through the technique first of all, and then trying to make the technique as isolated as possible, and then being able to bring it to different scenarios with a lot of space where you can find that running moment and then the exciting moment of like blocking a small goal or blocking at the thing. So I feel like some ways I have been effective on this is like, for example, the goalkeeper, there's a cone and there's like a goal close by, and now the goalkeeper's transitioning to defend that cone, and then they're spraying themselves or they're blocking that self. That way they're like in
yeah,
that mode. Because I'm really against of like the goalkeeper setting up their position and then reacting from there to a K block or a spread. I think that never occurs in some point. I think like whenever, like we were talking, whenever you're doing a 1v1, most of the time it's about the timing of when you're gonna attack the ball at the end of the day. If you're gonna be setting, then just set and react and then wait for the shot. But I
mm,
think it's being able to recreate that scenario of like the timing of like, okay, when do I shift from this cone? When the ball is gonna be in the perfect trajectory for me to shift from this cone to actually make it over there. Besides me
yeah.
thinking, like, okay, I'm gonna move and then set here and then try to make a block or a K save. So what are you?
I agree. I agree. You don't want to make it too like static. Like for me,
Static,
my
great
drill,
word. I love that word. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You don't
Uh-huh.
want to make it too static. You want to make it more like decision making, and like when I do like 1v1 drills, I might give some bad passes to my forward, and the keeper has to decide like, okay, maybe this moment I go with my hands, or I make a pass closer to my forward, and it's more of a, you know, I have to have my body be ready for that shot right away, or maybe this players going dribble, and I have to try close in space and try do a big spread save or a K block. So I try especially on my unannounced drills, like just give different services, different situations, and see what the goalkeeper decides on it, because that's what ultimately that's what's going to happen in the games. Like no one's going to tell or no one's going to tell the goalkeeper like the forward is going to shoot in this corner.
Yeah.
They just have to react in the situation. So, yeah, making
You just remind me about it was practice on Thursday, I think. We were shooting, we were doing announce deliveries.
yeah,
And of course, my announce wasn't the greatest announce because I ended up shooting another part. And then I ended up scoring. The goalkeeper was like, I thought you were going to hit it there. And I was like, okay, next time let's call the striker and call her and ask her, like, hey, where are you going to shoot? Please let me know.
yeah, yeah,
So, with that being said, like, of course, working on those techniques, working on those things. And like I kind of mentioned at the beginning, like, for example, Courtois training on these different methodologies and stuff like that. I went back and I asked actually the Barcelona coach, and we're going to talk about this a little bit in a couple of minutes about the international conference. There was the Xavi, the Barcelona goalkeeper coach. He used to work for Barcelona. He doesn't work anymore. And he was talking about that, about like having fun, creating like game realistic scenarios and stuff like that. And like you said, like creating those environments where the goalkeeper is able to be themselves. Like at the end of the day, like you mentioned, I think that's really good what you mentioned. They will react the way they react. Your body's gonna react the way you react. Like you don't have time to think like, oh, I need to take that step and then shove. Like at the end of the game is so quick that it's gonna react however you're gonna
hmm
react. I went to him and I asked him like, hey, Shai, like all of this was great, everything, but I'm really curious, and I have always been really curious, and this is one of my biggest questions that I have is like, like, why the best team in the world, probably, or one of the best team in the world, this goalkeeper coach that has coached Iker Casillas, Keylor Navas, Diego Lopez, Courtois, all these great goalkeepers. He works like this. That has nothing to do with the game. You have all these boxes, all these mannequins, all these ropes. They are flipping, they are going around him. And he mentioned, if I'm honest with you, Juan, part of it, and again, back to what I told you, is he's great to what he does outside the pitch. So outside of the pitch, and of course on Division 2 is a little bit different because of time, resources, and stuff like that. But here, like at UM, I have the privilege of doing a lot of things outside of the field. Like you were saying, recording yourself, IDPs, videos, meetings, examples, all the things, the mental aspect, conversations, time spending with all the things. So I wanted to ask you, like, what are some stuff that you believe are crucial for that development? And what are some things that you have probably been implementing or that you wish you could implement on? And like I understand that Division 2 has less staff and you probably need to be focused on other things besides goalkeeping. But like what do you think is important on this part of the development?
I feel like video analysis super key in trainings and games. Always like reviewing and seeing like, okay, like how can I prevent goals as a goalkeeper. One thing I'll have to do more is more meetings,
Hmm.
one-on-one meetings, meetings with the whole goalkeeper group, and just like explaining like how to prevent goals, how to find a better solution into the problems we have in the games. And that's really key. Or probably like those two comes to mind, like video analysis and one-on-one or group meetings if possible. And not every program have kind of like you said, not every program have the time and resources to do that all the time. So but if I have to pick two, that those two would probably be it.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with that personally. Like
Hmm.
for me, even when I was in my last Division One job, I didn't really have the time to actually cut all these videos and do all this analysis and not do all this stuff. So like you can imagine, for example,
Hmm.
another Division Two program. Um, well, we're getting into the hour, so I want to be mindful about your time.
Hmm.
Um, Education for goalkeeper coaches. I love the fact that we met through the United Goalkeeper Alliance, and to be fair,
Yeah.
like the first time that we actually like kind of interact and stuff like that. So of course that tells me that you're somebody that is taken to learn education, to have education and stuff like that. You're asking me about the goalkeeping thing. So what are your thoughts regarding like goalkeeper coaches getting education, learning? Like how do you navigate all this stuff?
I just started like going full-time coaching about a year and a half ago.
Hmm.
And there's not too much education out there, but there is. And one of the courses I'm gonna go this summer is the IGCC
Hmm.
that I
You already signed up
mentioned.
and everything?
Yeah, I already signed up. I'm going for sure. Like
That's
I
great.
got everything done. I'm looking forward to it. I already talked to other coaches that have been to it. They say positive things, so I'm looking forward to it.
Hmm.
And just networking and being around like-minded people like myself.
Yeah.
It there's like the only education that pops up to me are the IGCC. There's the USSF Goalkeeper C license,
Hmm.
and then there's another one, Global S SKI. They're based in Canada, I believe.
No. Wow, I didn't know about that. Global
Yeah,
SKI?
yeah, and then that's pretty much it. Like if you think about it, like for me, there's only three places where I can go,
Hmm.
and then I believe they're doing one in a goalkeeping course in Nashville, right? In March.
Yeah, but it's kind of like a meeting, kind of like you're just going and then seeing how is the environment of the goalkeeper, and then you get to watch the game as well. So you go like
Yeah.
through a classroom meeting and stuff like that. And I think part of education, Matthew, as well, and I'm gonna talk to you about my experience with the international, is being able to connect and have questions, have conversations, being curious. There is another platform that I'm gonna send you a link as well. Is and it's in English. And I'm lucky enough that I speak Spanish. So I'm able to find different resources in Spain or other countries that have their Spanish language. But this one, I think it does a really great job. They are based in Germany, and it's called Goalkeeping Development Software, I believe. I always confuse the name, but they translate all the meetings, and I think it's great for you to actually. So I'm gonna send you a link after this, and you can go and check it out as well.
Yeah, I
And
feel that's great.
yeah, with the IGC, well, my first advice, I don't know, have you booked hotels?
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah,
gonna stay in the
I'm gonna
same?
stay at the hotel where it's going to be hosted at.
Okay, okay, that's great. Um, you will learn a lot, and I think part of it will be if I could, I most likely will go again. I'm not sure. It depends on the financials, college, and the university, and the timeline. But I think again, the like for example, I was telling you, I was able to ask Xavi all these kind of questions. I think you need to get out of that comfort zone of like I'm gonna be myself and stuff like that. But start interacting with people and finding those opportunities of just have conversations, honestly. And it doesn't mean that during the meeting you're gonna grab somebody and then ask him 3,000 million questions. But probably you can create that connection, that bonding, and then later you can, for example, what we're doing get up in a call and then have any questions, any relationship. And I think just that thing alone kind of is worth it. The paying the price of like going to a conference and meeting everybody and having relationships. I was lucky enough to meet a lot of people there. That again nowadays I was recording a goalkeeper and stuff like that, and I was like, hey, what are your thoughts about this? and there are professional goalkeepers or just college goalkeepers being able to give me their thoughts as well. So I
Yeah.
think that alone helps a lot. The education part, of course, is gonna be great as well. Being able to make the questions in life to a person that is kind of reflecting. But again, it goes back to what I told you at the beginning, or what I think at the beginning. Like, only because Lloyd is saying this and now Phil is saying this doesn't mean that these are the correct things. I think part of it comes down to what works best for you, what you have been able to keep as successful, and being really open minded to listen and grab some stuff that things work from here. Like, grab some stuff from this. Like, and we had this discussion. I hope I'm not mispronouncing the name. Lloyd, the TKI
Female.
goalkeeper. Yeah,
Yeah.
female goalkeeper.
TKI.
Yeah. I like my question for her, and again, I'm a big believer of those scenarios, of a realistic scenario where you have different goals and you have the transition moments and stuff like that. I do that a lot. Of like, my goalkeeper always have to have a role, but the struggle that I always had, and she's a big believer in that, like on my college level, is like, I cannot do this every single day. If I do this every single day, these goalkeepers are gonna be dead for the game because it takes a lot of transition, coming up, jumping, moving, boom, now a pass, now I'm repositioned because now this person can shoot, this person can shoot. So on the perfect environment, like on her environment, of course, perfect, works really well because keepers come for practice there. But here's a little bit different because it's not that own academy. We're playing games. So on my environment, I'm not able to do the same thing. So I told her, like, how do you manage this in college? And that's the reality. Like, she answered stuff like that, so you're able to have this conversation, and I think that's really pretty. I think it's a great opportunity. I wish it was cheaper for the sake of me being cheap, but it is what it is. I think it's a great, and I'm really grateful that there's opportunities of this. Well, guys, it seems like we lost Matthew. um Small moment to reflect. I just want to wrap up a little things. I think he will try to come by, but we can keep it for a new episode, in a sense of like a small, short, like second part of the episode or something like that. I'm just wrapping up a little bit about what we spoke. First of all, life reflection. Like, even if things doesn't go properly, you can still figure out ways, alternative, or keep showing up and keep doing things to address. Like, you will learn through the process of doing stuff. So, like, for example, right now, things you just caught again. Well, there was a mistake. We'll figure out. We'll fix it. You don't need to get emotional or attached with a specific behavior. Second of all, techniques. Not all the techniques will fit all the goalkeepers. However, I think the more techniques they. Oh, there you go, Matthew. How did you jump in? Why
Yeah.
didn't you let
Yeah.
people?
My bad. iPad died, and so I rushed and get my charger. I wasn't even looking at my battery percentage,
Oh, that's
but
funny. I was giving a beautiful speech, wrap up speech. I was gonna be like, okay, we'll do a second part. But since you jump in back to it,
yeah.
and with that being said, back to my point that I was kind of closing the episode with, things doesn't go your fucking way. Just move on, fix the stuff, like you'll figure it out, and here we go. Back again. Not
Yeah.
everything needs to be perfect. Beautiful is not perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know. What other questions do you have about the IGCC?
Um. You pretty much some answered all, most of my questions. The connection, the networking, what I'm looking forward to, what I'm expect. I just kind of just want to get your experience from it, and you pretty much answered it. And I'm honestly just looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Just can't wait
But
to
then Matthew, I
get
think Phil, or I'm also subscribed on like the monthly meeting with them. So every month they have like a Zoom meeting.
same.
Oh, okay, perfect. There you go.
Yeah,
So it's kind of the similar, like education wise, you will kind of see the same part. But I
yeah,
think contacts and all of those stuff is a great thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I've been getting more into goalkeeping education recently now, and there's platforms like the IGC and United Goalkeeper Alliance. They do like a pretty good job on like having um webinars with coaches and working on different things. They just did one about um in possession to out of possession. I think this Sunday they're going to do one about free kicks.
Hmm.
And then yeah, there's goalkeeper education out there. You just have to look for it and connect with coaches and just have conversations, talk about goalkeeping.
Yeah, and execute, reflect, execute. It's not about just keep watching, keep watching. And this is funny because this happened really often. Like, you know what is right, just do it at some point. Like, even like, for example, with personal growth education, like you keep reading, you keep reading, you keep reading, you keep like listening to this, and it's like the same theories about like, oh, you need to do this, do this, do this, just start doing it. You know what I mean? Like, you'll never ever get as prepared as all the experience that you have on the field. So if you think you're a goalkeeper coach and you want to get into that, but you don't think you have enough knowledge because you haven't listened 5,000 courses or stuff like that, don't think that way, because like part of it is you actually going to a field, just experiencing yourself. Like, not course is gonna teach you like how to handle with an upset goalkeeper, how to handle when everybody woke up moody as hell. Nobody's gonna teach you like how to handle, I don't know, all those scenarios. Like, you will learn by doing it and failing, or by doing it well. I think that's the most important experience and learning that you can get.
Yeah, exactly what you say. Experiences. You have to actually do it and learn from that experiences, and that would come with time too.
Just Matthew, two questions to wrap up. And one of them is like kind of informal, whatever, you can do whatever answer you want, but I will judge you forever if it is the wrong answer. And then
Okay.
one with a more thoughtful
Oh
process.
no.
But before we go to the two questions and then to wrap up just the episode, I just wanted to thank you for your time coming to this. Like, of course, like, again, if you haven't heard the episode, or is, well, let me rephrase that. It's the first time that I actually meet Matthew, in a sense,
Yeah.
like we have
Yeah,
text.
first time I actually made one.
But I love the conversation. I thought it was great. I really appreciate you because you're humble to listen, you're humble to ask questions, and a lot of goalkeeper coaches, like, they will be open to this stuff, but you will find people that are not open to that. And I think this is the beautiful about the sport. Like, you get to meet people. And now, if I ever know that Matthew's in a recruiting event or stuff like that, I'll be like, "Hey, Matthew, what's up? Let's grab a coffee," or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you create relationships like that. So thank you for doing that, for being an example, and for sharing
The
all the stuff that you gave.
Likewise, Juan.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Likewise.
So two questions. I will go first to a thoughtful one before our relationship gets done. If you were gonna give three advices to Matthew, like all Matthew from what you have learned, or for a goalkeeper coach, or for just a goalkeeper in general, of like your playing time, stuff like that, like, what three advices will you give them?
The goalkeeper coach or a player
As Matthew,
like
as
a goal.
Matthew, as Matthew. It can be life, mate. It can be like drink your black coffee or something like that. Like three lessons that you will give somebody.
Three lessons. Um, if you're going to
Look,
do something,
lesson
put
number one: charge your laptop, because give me 1 second, because I have three
yeah.
percent. I have three
Oh
percent. But give me
man.
1 second. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Perfect. That made you think about your question better. All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Now your
Okay.
answer is ready.
Three things. If you're going to do something, put 100% effort to it, and don't let um people on the outside like think negative of you. Like if I want to do something, I'm gonna put 100% without other people telling me if it's wrong or not. I feel like goalkeeping coaching is a small niche, and not a lot of people will understand it until you're actually either a goalkeeper or in that world. Um, my second thing would probably be find mentors. I think that's super key. Even as a player and as a coach, you should have someone that you can talk to that probably knows more or even have more experience that you can connect with and say, "Hey, I'm struggling with this. What advice would you give me?" I have mentors not just in the goalkeeping world, but I have mentors in life in general that I can text message, or if I need advice on something, those are the people that I'll go to. So that's a really big thing. I think everyone should have like someone to talk to. And on the on the flip side, you should be mentoring someone else.
Mm,
So like as I have people to go to, I have other people that I mentor myself. And they might be goalkeepers, they might be coaches. So it's kind of doing giving back, and by me mentoring, by me teaching, will just make me understand and my knowledge of the game. Yeah. So and I I guess my third thing would probably be make sure you love what you're doing, because every single day I tell people all the time, like, me coaching, me like working, I love what I'm doing and it doesn't feel like work. So make sure if you get into goalkeeping coaching, have some love into that role that you have.
that's great. That's great. I love how the three of them kind of intercept and like connect in a way.
Yeah.
You love something, go for it. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, people will judge you, but at the end of the day, people will judge you, people will talk about you. So back to the first lesson. If you love it, go for it and find somebody that is gonna teach you how to do it. That I think the three lessons kind of like intercept and I think that's beautiful. That's great. Cool. All right, two questions to end. Well, I was gonna say one, but like I want to bring it to second. Quick thing, whatever comes to your mind, all right? So there's no time to
Okay.
think about it. Favorite goalkeeper brand?
Oh,
Glove brand, let's go.
well, I have to say, or I don't have to say, I do have a glove sponsor. It's called Glove Us.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
but the owner was a teammate of mine, and I've been
Yeah.
working with them for the past 3 years. So I would check out Glove Us. Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you was gonna break relationship. Doesn't matter what's
N-
with your sponsorship or
n-
whatever.
No, no.
I have never heard about Glava, so
Yeah, you should check it out.
I will be interested to check it out.
It's like an all white glove with a little heart on the fingers. So instead of gloves,
Uh-huh.
GLOVES is
Yeah.
GLOVUS.
Okay. Love it.
Glove. Yeah,
Perfect. I will if I find well, not if I find, but I will look a little bit and then I will post their link or whatever, like on the
yeah,
Instagram or all this stuff.
yeah.
And last question, best goalkeeper.
Of all time,
Yeah. Best goalkeeper. All right,
I
best
gotta
goalkeeper of
go
all
with.
time and best goalkeeper of nowadays.
I do love Manuel Neuer for me.
Yeah.
How about
Yeah.
you?
What about me?
Yeah, glove
Of all
brand and
time,
goalkeepers. Uh,
Iker, Iker Casillas. Iker Casillas
yeah,
for me is the holy grail of goalkeeping.
I that was my goalkeeper I was looking up to when I was a kid.
Yeah, 100%. That and
Mhm.
Buffon, of course. Like what Buffon did was incredible. But Neuer, I need to agree. Neuer revolutionized the position at some point.
He
Of
he
course, the word
created
goalkeeper.
sweeper keeper. He's the one that created that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's funny. Okay, it's funny because a lot of people say that, but like I once was reading something and it makes a lot of sense. Like Igita did this years ago. You know what I mean? But like because Igita didn't do it on a, or there were so many mistakes from Igita coming.
Mm.
Now people tend, but now you're kind of played the role more important, to be honest. Cool, Matthew. So if people want to learn a little bit more about you, where they can find you?
On Instagram, you could check out GKU underscore 805. That's where I have most of my goalkeeper content, most of my camps, trainings, everything else. You can reach me on my other Instagram page, Machu1 underscore. That's pretty much my coaching life, the coach side of me, the personal side of me. So you can look up on those two Instagram handles, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome, perfect. Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, likewise, Juan. Great speaking with you, and hope we see each other in person one day.
Hopefully, yeah, that will be a goal.
Okay.
All right.